So responding back to each other. I think for you, the first couple of questions, I think Eva, if you want to share why you wanted for Carmen to come
Yeah,
on here and speak.
Carmen, I have been following you for years on social media. Eh, Let me pause. If you don't understand me, let me know and I will repeat myself. Feedback is a gift for you and for me.
That sounds good.
Let me do better, okay? Thank you.
You just never know, as you know
Yeah.
from the work you've done with Impact and just throughout your time as a believer, you just never know what you could say and or do that would encourage someone. So
Yeah.
I'm just grateful that God has brought some beauty from the ash heap of my life and can use that.
That's beautiful.
Carmen, I have followed you for years. I feel like I know you. And you have helped me a lot. If you can make it, so can I. And I'm talking to you too. You can do it. You can make it. It may be different, but you can do it. Okay. Do you understand me?
So what I'm experiencing right now is a bit of a delay, and
Oh,
I need you to repeat that, please.
okay. I said I met Carmen years ago through social media, and
Hmm.
she has helped me a lot. That's why I asked her to be on our first show. Uh, now first, one of our first shows. She, you, I, I did. Okay, that's it.
So technically, no, I'm with we got you, Eva. So technically, Carmen, she's been following you for a while, and I guess how life works is that you never know when you're gonna need people.
Right.
You never know when you're gonna need to pull on people who've been inspiring you from a distance. And
Okay.
so she definitely wanted you to be here because you inspire her. Because I promise you, I thought y'all friends for years, like intimate, all time talking, because that's how often she spoke of you. Um, but I'll start off by saying hi. I'm Jackie Williams, Stroke for Healing. I'm the
And I
co-host too.
and I am Eva Johnson, Stroke for Healing.
And we have with here our guests, Carmen Daniel Jones. If you want to introduce yourself to everyone.
Sure. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. Um, I am originally from the Washington, D.C. area, but made my way to Atlanta 6 years ago. I'm a single mother. I'm also a graduate of an HBCU, Hampton University. And
Woohoo!
and I have experienced during my junior year of college, I had a life changing automobile accident, which the result was I sustained a spinal cord injury, being paralyzed from the waist down. What at the age of 20. And so, what initially was very challenging and difficult, just because I didn't have the maturity at that time, it forced me into some maturity. Um, and in my relationship with the Lord. Initially, I came to the Lord for healing. I mean, while I was saved, I was a believer. I came pretty much with the motive of God's going to heal my body, and you know, then I'll testify about how good He's been to me. Um, And that would be that. uh, as a result, and I'm kind of hopscotching around. I got married to someone who I met in college. Uh, we did not know each other before the accident. He was not a believer, and I was, and so he ultimately came to faith in Christ and prior to our getting married, and so we were married. Um, we grew as disciples. We went to a church that really focused on making disciples, and that's where I was taught really well, if I can say that, and just had a hunger for the word. And God began to change me. And in that process of changing me, He changed my desires. Because up until that point, I was very focused on pursuing healing. And while my relationship with the Lord was strong, I always had in the back of my mind, like, okay, healing is a part of His agenda for me. And so my desires just began to change. And said these words to the Lord. I said, if, if you do not heal me where I'm walking, then I'm going to make a humble request that you give me a life that exceeds my expectations. And He did. He has. It has not been a cakewalk by any stretch, but He has definitely been true to His word. And I literally sometimes am in awe of just how God has taken, made the truth and the reality of Romans 8:28 in my life. And so
Mm.
that's just a little bit about me. And then I'm a mom. I have two children. I have one who is in heaven waiting for me. I'm not trying to get there quick. And then I have my daughter, Natalie, who will be 21 tomorrow. So um, that's just a little bit about me.
That's beautiful. That's an amazing story. Happy birthday, Natalie, tomorrow.
Thank you.
Wow. So this is hitting me for a lot of different reasons. It's actually pretty interesting. So for one, I live in Atlanta.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I live here, so we should definitely just have some coffee one day, possibly, if we're close to each other. And then two, October 8th, my mother has spinal fusion surgery that she
Okay.
just found out that she needs August. She found out August 22nd, because so she found out she's going to need spinal fusion surgery because her spinal cord is pushing, her bone in her neck is pushing up against her spinal cord from an accident. Apparently she's always had a reverse curvature, but apparently an accident in 2018 that only this one doctor, after all the doctors and all the things have identified, require surgery or she will be paralyzed. And
Okay.
so yeah, your story hit me hard because I didn't know your story prior to now.
Okay.
So, no, I didn't know it all to this extent. So, I just want to tell you, for thank you for your vulnerability and transparency. That's something that Eva said that she really respects about you, is how transparent you are in sharing your story. I guess my question, I'm gonna kind of go back to some of the basics of things, because one of the things that we want to do with this podcast is help people. We want to encourage empathy and sensitivity and just education. I think something for myself, people looking at me probably like, why is she co-hosting with Eva? But I have, as you can hear, I had a story with my mom. I have an uncle who was paralyzed. It's unexpectedly, by hitting the back of his neck coming out of a truck, and fell down, and then boop. And he's since regained movement, but he's still considered paraplegic.
Okay.
He can walk at times. He drives. We're like, Uncle, what is happening? He's driving. These are things that I don't think a lot of people where I'm from have seen happen before.
Right.
And so I would like you to share, like, when you say that your life is just an abundant life, even through adversity, how what does that look like for you? Can you like give a visual for people?
So, um, I've never been asked that before, a visual. So, I guess I think of a visual, I think of John 15, where Jesus says, I am the vine and you are the branches. And so there has been a lot of pruning in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Where the pruning is what is effective to help the tree and the branch to grow, and so I can say that for myself. um, so I guess sharing a little bit more, so 23 years ago, I lived
Mm-hmm.
very well with my then husband, and we ultimately had a son 23 years ago, and our son was born with significant disabilities unrelated to my spinal cord injury. We
Okay.
only knew through a sonogram that he would have a cleft lip. But the doctor began to do some testing, some additional testing to check for Down syndrome and some other conditions. All of those tests came back negative. So we really felt that we just had to focus on getting to the delivery and adjusting to this whole notion of a cleft lip.
Mm.
But when he was born, he could not breathe, and the cleft lip, what was the result was a midline anomaly. So he had a cleft lip, cleft palate, a very narrow trachea, which was the primary issue at that time.
Mm.
Um, and so it made it difficult for him to breathe. He had to have a G tube. It was a lot of things. And I guess when people look at my story in that part of my life, it was an intense, intense time. My son was medically fragile. He was in the NICU on and off for about a year. We had 24-hour nursing up until the time he was about 2.5. So, the dynamic in our home changed. But there were always these little spurts, and this has been a thread in my life, so I pay attention,
Mm-hmm.
that in the midst of adversity, there have been these spurts where there's been some pruning and some difficult times. There's always been these moments of sunshine that burst forth. So, even though Marcus had very challenging, um, challenging health, there were things that surprised me. I became a political appointee during the Obama administration. That was something I did not pursue, but a door that was opened for me. Marcus ultimately passed away 3 days before his 8th birthday. And that was probably harder than, not probably, it was harder than when I had the automobile accident, in large part because my mother's heart was broken and
Right.
hurting, missing him. And then my marriage ended 2 years after Marcus passed.
Wow.
And so I'm amazed at how I just, I can't explain it except that there's been a miracle after a miracle. And I
Wow.
mean, when I think of the provision, financial provision, when I think about family and friends rallying to my daughter and my aid and helping us,
Yeah.
promotions that I did not try to get, that someone said, we'd like you to be considered for this position. Um, it has been, I guess, so there's some tension because there's been some really rough times, but in the midst of the rough times, I had to trust God. I had
Right.
to ask Him to guide me. And the day that my ex-husband left, I had been reading through the Bible um, in a year, and I was at Exodus, the book of Exodus. I started in July on Marcus's birthday intentionally, July 11th.
Mm.
And this is 2 years after he passed away. And that day I was in the book of Exodus, and I read, how the Israelites were leaving Egypt. They were at the edge of the Red Sea and they were looking back over their shoulder and they didn't know what was going to happen. They thought they would be overcome. And the scripture that jumped out to me was Exodus 14:14. The Lord himself will fight for you, just stay calm. And this was the verse God gave me 2 days after my husband had left. And I was like, Lord, I'm on uncharted territory. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be a single mother. But those words leapt off my computer, my iPhone, right here, and I said, okay, if this is what it's going to be, I'll try my best to stay calm, but you got to fight.
Right.
You have to protect us. And he has been true to his word. A really quick illustration is one morning my daughter and I were racing to school. I had to drive her to school, and I have a van that has a ramp. For
Okay.
some reason, when we got in, the ramp came up, but the door would not close. And I had to get her to school and I had to get to work. So looking back, this was not wise. I proceeded to drive her to school.
With the door open?
And my daughter was freaking out in the back seat. Mommy, oh, mommy, what's going to happen? And I said, Natalie, God said for me to stay calm and he would fight. So we got all the way to school. I turned off the van. I turned it back on. And then the van started to work. And I said, okay, that was like a test of some sort. And it's just been these unsuspecting random things where God has just provided protection and cover and, again, provision and laughter and joy. I prayed after Marcus died and my husband moved that we would experience laughter and joy bouncing off the walls of our house, and we had that. So it's just been. I'm sorry if I'm being so long-winded.
No, I love the story. Please, this is so important.
It's just been nothing but God honoring his word. That's all I can say. But I just continue to ask for direction, submit myself to him. And I'll give you one more example of something that happens. So when you have a 2-income household, things feel different than when you have a 1-income household.
I understand.
And so after my marriage ended and my ex-husband moved, that income was gone. And so I remember at that time, because it was so tight, I was not tithing. And I felt like a conviction from the Lord to begin tithing again. We always tithe, but I just said, Lord, there's no way this federal government salary is going to do what we need to do. So I began to tithe. And within, I would say 2 weeks, I began to feel the noose or the tightness of the finances loosen. And there wasn't like there was all this income coming in, extra income. I did receive child support, so that helped. But I just began to experience having more than having less. And and the numbers were the same. So that was one of the ways that my obedience is what I think triggered the faithfulness and the provision of the Lord.
Well, you know what? Well, I tell you, this conversation was necessary for more reasons than not. Because the season that you just described, even though I have a husband, but it's been a very tight season. And so I've also had those moments of I don't have enough to tithe, or maybe not this week, or those things like that. And you just wake up the blessings and you're like, okay, well, how did that seem to all of a sudden work when it didn't work last week? Right? Like things just work all of a sudden that never worked before. So definitely God, he knows our heart. I know Eva, you've been away for a moment and you're back online. Have you been able to keep up with the conversation so far?
A a little bit. Carmen, you have helped me so much. I met Carmen as a result of her ex-husband.
Mm-hmm.
She, I went on the trip to Africa with her husband. That's how I met her. And that was years ago. That was years ago. I was so thankful to her for all what she's given me, even though she may not know it. I have lived life with her. I have prayed for her many times over, even though I haven't met her. I saw the strength that she has. Thank you so much for giving. You did not know that you were giving me, but thank you. You have blessed my life, and I have prayed for you.
But that means
That was before I had the stroke.
more to me than you know. And what I haven't shared, Jackie, is fast forward a few more years. In 2021, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I was like,
Wow.
Lord, I had to handle the spinal cord injury. I believe, I got through that like a good soldier for you. Marcus's death definitely was hard, but he healed my heart. The marriage ending, another thing that could have really tripped me up, but God healed my heart. But when it came to this cancer, um, I said to the Lord the night I was diagnosed, that evening before I went to bed, I said, I'm dealing with a stealthy enemy. I know how to fight with what I can see, but I don't know how to fight something that could be moving around my body that I don't know is there. And I can and so what Eva shared about praying for me, I believe in the moments when I had nothing in me, I had no, it wasn't anger. I was just feeling drained out. And I
Mm.
didn't have much. I believe God honored the prayers of people interceding on my behalf. So thank you for that, Eva. I'm um I'm humbled and I'm honored that God placed me on your heart. So now I can say I'm on the other side of cancer.
Hey.
Praise God. I mean, it's been surgery and I had some other health challenges, resulting in becoming septic twice and all of that. But God has kept me and I feel like myself, and I'm eternally grateful for that. So now it's time to get back to living life and um, having more fun with family and friends. So and making an impact wherever I'm needed.
I love that because this lady right behind me is my grandmother. Um, she had breast cancer,
Mhm.
and she fought for years. And she was in remission for 19 years. But I was laying in the bed the other day, and I was like, God, I said, I'm living off the prayers of my grandmother. I know others too, but in that moment, I
Mhm.
literally just I just it's like it's as if I heard an old 30-year-old prayer come across.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
no, us thinking and keeping others in prayer is important. I think this is such a great um lesson and just a principle that we're all connected. You all we're all
Amen.
connected through Christ. And so we don't always have to talk to each other, but if we just pray for each other in love,
Mhm.
with a servant heart and just give to others, then we can all stay blessed on our own ends and not even know that anyone else is looking out for us, you know? So
Hmm.
that's really amazing. So what's these plans? So Eva told me you travel and you do fun things, or at least you have
I have.
traveled.
I have. So interspersed, I wouldn't say I have a daredevil spirit by any stretch. I'm kind of, as I've gotten older, I'm like, I'll let the young people do that. I was thinking about, if I went to Orlando, would I get on a roller coaster? I don't think so. Um, but, but things like, tr- right now I've been doing a lot of travel within driving distance. So
Okay.
going to Hilton Head with family or visiting relatives, driving to my college homecoming. Um,
Mm.
I want to have a trip with my daughter for her 21st birthday. She has to fit me in on her plans. This young adulting, your parents get in where they fit in, right? And so, it's a dream to travel to Paris. I want to go to Australia. And that's where even I reconnected, because on my 50th birthday, which was a number of years ago, I was interested in going to Australia, but then my work life
Okay.
overtook that plan.
Mm.
Um, so those are the types of things. And since I'm relatively new to Atlanta, I've been here 6 years, but the pandemic ate up a chunk of time, and then cancer ate up a big chunk of time.
Right.
I haven't really had gotten to know Atlanta like I knew and know DC, because DC for me is home base. Um, because I lived there the longest. And
Okay.
so I want to explore and just experience more. The one thing that was surprising to me, though, is Atlanta is very hilly, and
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of hard on a person who uses a wheelchair. So, um, I have to kind of circumvent that and work that
Okay.
out. But I want to explore more in the South. And my parents moved here a year ago, and so they're in their mid 80s. So my brother and I are wanting to be very intentional about where we take them and spending time with them.
That's actually pretty special. It is hilly here. And I'm laughing because I've been here for 14 and a half years and I still don't know the city.
Mhm.
I just know where I live.
Yeah. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. And everything is so spread out.
Yes. And you got all these different counties. It's like you're never really in the same place because you're in a whole nother jurisdiction, it seems like. So I'm north of the city and I guess it's hilly. Yeah, it is hilly. I guess I don't really think about it because unlike you, I don't have to be as conscious unless I'm walking up a hill and can barely get by. Are
Right.
you in a motorized chair or do you push?
So 37 years after my accident, I'm grateful that I'm still pushing. I know a lot of my colleagues and friends whose shoulders get worn out and they
Mhm.
move to the power chair. I recently did get this power assist device that hooks onto the back of my chair, and it's really helpful. It does
Mhm.
help propel me forward and take some pressure off my chairs, off my shoulders. So I do push, though. I do.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's amazing. You got better shoulders than me. I was
Oh,
what I bet no, trust me, I'm pretty sure you do. I'm at the chiropractor every other week because my I need to do better with life. Just let's
And
say that.
that makes me think when I first met Carmen, her arms were strong, and then ooh, that strong.
well, they're still strongish, but I'm very selective. And I have to tell you, I'm not getting paid for this at all. But one
Mhm.
thing you all may consider is going to Stretch Lab. If they have like a stretch zone or stretch lab in your area, that has been really helpful. That has
Wow.
given me a lot. I guess I underestimated the importance of stretching,
Yeah.
and it's been helpful.
Yep.
Thank
Definitely.
you very much.
Oh, my
Thank you.
pleasure. My
Thank you.
pleasure. Thank you so much. You all have an awesome day, and just let me know, and I'm happy to do it.
No, this sounds great. Yeah, we'll probably get it's more to share. You have way more stories to tell, and I love the conversation.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank
Okay.
you. Y'all have
Thank
a
Bye.
good one. Stay safe. I know the hurricane is coming. Stay
Yeah,
safe.
she's in Barbados. Have to come home tomorrow.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
she been around the world, girl.
I know. She doesn't let any grass grow under her wheels. All right,
You're
y'all.
right.
Have a good
Bye.
one.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for being here.
Yes, we want to thank you so much. And it's been such a great conversation. But as you know, there'll be a part two to this. So stay tuned and we'll see you next time. And we just want you to always remember to think differently. And Eva,
And remember, you can travel, you can do everything. You have to think differently.
and be a blessing to someone else. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye bye.
Bye bye.